Hello everyone, my name is Maria and I'm your storyteller for today. Tonight's chapter is from a story I've written which is called The Curse of the Dragonstone. I hope you like it.
Chapter 1. A very important letter. Belladonna felt as light as air and hummed happily to herself, hugging a piece of paper to her chest. A letter written on paper with a golden royal crest at the top. Grub and Weevil had never seen her look so happy, and that worried them just the tiniest bit. A proposal of marriage from Prince Aster. She spiraled into the air in delight, her favourite black velvet dress swirling around her. I knew this would come. I am the luckiest witch in the kingdom. Marriage, mistress? Grub and Weevil, her house hobgoblins, stared with eyes as wide as plates. They were short and round, with spiky hair the colour of dried hay, and dressed from top to toe in greens and browns. They tugged at their waistcoats in unison. Grub checked the pocket of his red waistcoat for his watch, his most treasured possession. Weevil checked he had buttoned up his dark yellow waistcoat, as Grub always insisted, and pushed the pack of playing cards deep into his top pocket as he looked at his feet. His socks were balanced in a heap on the top of his boots. He glanced at Grub's socks, which looked just like his, and he sighed with relief. Belladonna gazed happily out of the window of her living room with a view of the palace towers rising above the trees, and sighed. She dreamed of being a princess, and Prince Aster was her prince of choice. Tall, extremely handsome, and very well dressed, he was her ideal prince. Belladonna was the best party organizer in the kingdom and had been asked to organize a birthday party for Prince Aster. It was her biggest party yet, and it had gone incredibly well. Queen Azalea had wanted lots of fireworks, and Belladonna had made sure they were the most ingenious fireworks anyone had ever seen. Soaring dragons, singing mermaids floating across the sky, thousands of tiny fairy fireflies filling the air and sprinkling fairy dust and happiness over the guests throughout the entire evening. Since then, two things had happened. Firstly, she'd received a huge number of requests to organize parties for the rich and famous, and secondly, Prince Aster had clearly fallen in love with her. He had danced with her more than any other guest at the party, and he had sent her a short note by dove every day since. 2 days ago, a golden throne with a midnight blue velvet seat and a small crown perched on the back had arrived. It sat in pride of place near the window in her living room. She believed this was a small clue to what was sure to arrive next. Today's note was the icing on Belladonna's cake, the marriage proposal she had been expecting and which she had every intention of accepting. I must send back an immediate reply. Fetch some paper and my favourite quill pen. She made herself comfortable in her throne. Grub and Weevil scattered in different directions. Weevil returned with Belladonna's favourite notepad of pink-scented paper, while Grub handed over her favourite peacock feather quill pen with the gold nib. She quickly wrote her reply, accepting Prince Aster's proposal of marriage, and signed it with a flourish. There, she sprinkled a little fairy dust on the paper to dry the ink and make it glow. Now fetch my fastest messenger to carry it. She returned to the window and gazed at the distant palace again, brimming with happiness and thinking about wedding dresses and how she was going to organize her biggest and best party ever. Grub and Weevil looked at each other. Weevil was very worried. "What messenger?" he whispered. "We ain't got any left." Grub pulled at his bottom lip several times, lost in thought. "We'll use Salix. He can do the job." Weevil raised his eyebrows almost to his hairline. "But it's his nap time." Grub shrugged his shoulders and nodded towards the door as if to say, "Get on with it." Weevil trudged out of the room, muttering to himself. He returned a few minutes later with what looked like a large, dark, wrinkly bag which snored loudly as it hung limply from his arm. An upside-down love heart drawn in grey extended from top to bottom. "Ugh! What is that?" Belladonna wrinkled her nose in disgust. "Salix, mistress. Our champion racing bat. 3 times champ. Surely there's a bird available. Something a little more elegant, at least. What happened to the falcon?" She interrupted him before he could finish. The falcon is in the sick bay with a damaged wing. The raven is on holiday. The owl's hatching eggs. And the magpie ran away last week with the key to the aviary," explained Grub. "It's still asleep. I can hear it snoring," Belladonna grimaced. Weevil prodded the dark rattling mass a couple of times, and large leathery wings unfolded with a shiver, unfurling the upside-down love heart. It was a bat with a grey streak on the top of its head and a thin grey line along the length of each wing. "He's definitely awake, mistress." Belladonna glared at him. "Well, he had better be reliable. This is extremely important." "Oh, yes, mistress. He's extremely reliable," confirmed Weevil, echoing Belladonna's words and crossing his fingers behind his back for luck. Belladonna handed Grub the letter and he tied it to the bat's leg. Then Weevil released the bat by throwing him out of the window. At first, nothing seemed to happen as Salix plummeted upside down toward the ground. Then suddenly, his wings spread wide and flapped rapidly to stop his fall as he flipped onto his front. Grub and Weevil sighed with relief as they saw Salix rise into the evening air. Belladonna watched her messenger travel toward the palace, crashing through the treetops as he gained height. She sighed, hugging herself in delight. A princess. Dreams really do come true.
And that's the end of tonight's chapter. I hope you enjoyed it. Night night, sleep tight, and see you soon for another bedtime chapter.